Hello, internet friends and family. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So, I literally was live 2 hours ago, and in the middle of the information I was providing, I lost power, I lost internet. There was no scheduled blackouts. Nobody else on my street lost power. I don't even know how they do this stuff, you guys, but I was sharing information. Obviously, they did not want me to share. So let me tell you what else happened. As I was uploading this live, as soon as I titled it and uploaded it, it said something went wrong and it booted me back out of the system. So I had to try multiple times to get back on live to share this information with you guys so we can discuss it together. You know the routine. Hit like, pop over in comments, tell me who you are and where you're watching from. And let me do this first because I don't feel like reading all that. All right. So here we go, guys. Lockheed Martin, Blackhawk fly itself. So Lockheed Martin, if you don't know who that is, really need you guys to do some research into them. They are the biggest Department of Defense contractor. Thank you guys for being here with me. They now have a helicopter that, let me do it this way so you can see it better, that can fly itself. And they brought this information out about a year ago. So this is Lockheed Martin. The U.S. Army got a firsthand look at the future of autonomous flight.
Hand in hand with the Army to modernize Blackhawk, to incorporate new technology, new capabilities to create the Blackhawk of the future. And one critical technology of all these things is autonomy. And that brings me here today.
Are we really going to fly this optimally piloted autonomous Blackhawk in Connecticut from 300 miles away right here in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is a resounding yes, we're going to.
You're going to see the aircraft come up to a stabilized hover, and this is going to simulate contested logistics operations where we would have a ground crew hooking up a sling load to the aircraft.
And this aircraft is holding position remarkably well.
So Lockheed Martin in DC not a year ago was demonstrating autonomous Black Hawk helicopters. What does that mean? There was no pilot. Am I saying that the accident that happened last night didn't have a pilot? I don't know. I can tell you this, that you and I may never know if there was a pilot. If there was a pilot, were they even flying the aircraft? You have to understand that technology is most definitely there. It says here, although 3 Army personnel were reported on board the Blackhawk, it is not inconceivable that the helicopter was either 1, operating with the transponder off, potentially indicating there was a VIP aboard the aircraft, which of course the Army denies. 2, it was operating autonomously on the Hammer network and therefore virtually invisible to everybody else. In other words, the airplane would not have even known the Black Hawk was there. So I'm hearing reports that it looks like the airplane dipped into the Black Hawk. Well, that would be possible if it was autonomously being flown, because it would have been like not for everybody to know about. Initial reports said the helicopter was a Washington, D.C. police helicopter. 2 weeks before the election, Sikorsky flaunted their new optimally piloted autonomous technologies being deployed in Blackhawk helicopters. So basically, yeah, it's not abnormal to see helicopters over DC, for one. It's not unusual to see helicopters everywhere in the United States, folks. I see Blackhawks going back and forth in Louisiana all the time, going back and forth to bases. Thank you, Miss Rita. The reason I'm bringing this to you is that the technology is far advanced to the point that AI could have been flying that helicopter. The helicopter could have had nobody inside of it. It could have been flying dark. They're never going to admit any of those three things because then somebody would be responsible for the souls of the 60 plus people that were on that plane. So I'm just saying, I mean, everybody can talk about whatever they want to talk about, but you've got a huge you've got a huge base right there. Because I just read to y'all earlier, they shut me down when I started talking about the Joint Base Andrews military. This is a military website that I'm reading off of right now. A select few airmen from across the world have emerged from the shadows to tackle a variety of different artificial intelligence projects for the Department of the Air Force. This article was written November 27th, 2023. It is called the Phantom Program. It is a comprehensive fellowship at the Department of the Air Force, coupled with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology AI Accelerator, which provides opportunities to learn from the brightest minds in AI. They're not hiding it. It's right in front of us. Good morning, everybody. It says here, but wonder and curiosity are not the only prereqs for success in the program. Every phantom, that is what every Air Force person that's involved in this program is called, a phantom, is required to write a published paper on a subject of their choosing relating to AI, but which also has a direct link to any problems their home unit may be facing. As a force support professional, they are researching large language models like ChatGPT and how they could augment force support squadron functions with AI assistance. I'm just saying. I believe that machine learning and large language models have come a long way and advanced far enough that we at the FSS can tap into its functionalities just like other large corporations. It's there. It's there, right? I will tag all these articles and videos in description when we get off live. So as I was going into all of this morning, I found something else. The Department of Defense Chief AI Officer launches Rapid Capability Cell Frontier AI pilots to accelerate adoption of cutting-edge technology. This article, also on a military site, was written December 12th, 2024. Yes, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Blackhawk can hover. Okay, so it could have stopped and hovered. There should have been radar screaming alarms for both the plane, the people in the tower, as well as the Blackhawk. The fact that this accident happened is why I am harping on AI, because I firmly believe if the truth ever comes out, we're going to see that AI or autonomous pilots, in other words, no pilot visible in the craft, is what is responsible for this accident. Please make sure you hit the like button so more people can learn this information. The Pentagon's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office today launched a new rapid fielding effort to spearhead a series of new initiatives aimed at accelerating the adoption of advanced artificial intelligence capabilities across the Defense Department. Again, 2024 in December. The CDAO's Artificial Intelligent Rapid Capabilities Cell, or AIRCC, will partner with the Defense Innovation Unit to execute 4 initial frontier AI pilots that will apply generative AI models to both warfighting and enterprise management USA cases. They're telling you they're taking pilots out of these crafts, not just during wartime, but for enterprise management, ferrying people across the Potomac, moving VIP people around the country. They don't need a pilot for that. They can use AI for that. The pilot initiatives are part of the AIRCC's broader efforts to capitalize on emerging technologies and put advanced AI capabilities in the hands of warfighters and key Department of Defense enablers. The department's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Officer, Dr. Ratty Bloom, whoever that is, who also holds a doctorate in economics, underscored the imperative for the DoD to seize AI, to seize it. Yeah, I've got that too. We're going to cover that in just a second. The U.S. and the U.S. private sector in particular is at the cutting edge when it comes to artificial intelligence. At the same time, it's important to recognize that AI adoption by adversaries, here it goes, you know how they are, China and Russia, Iran and North Korea, is accelerating. And it possesses a significant national security risk. So when we find out what was really going on with all these drones being seen around New Jersey and Washington and New York, guarantee you it's all part of this AI autonomous piloting program that the Department of Defense literally wrote on their site in December of 2024. No, you are so right, John. We do not even know the half of it yet. And when we find out the other half of it, people will not believe it. Just like there are people in this country today that will tell you geoengineering isn't real. They can't affect the weather. It's not possible. How people can be that blind, I don't know. But it's good people who are that blind, because I consider my parents to be extremely educated, self-educated mainly, but very wise, eyes wide open type people. Yet they don't know a whole lot about geoengineering. They have kept it secret, and they have branded it conspiracy theory for so long that people just won't believe it. And yes, the Malaysia flight, when they had those orbs going around it, that was absolutely moving it through a wormhole. I have no doubt about that. None at all. Okay, so she said that they're going to take an all-hands-on-deck approach to ensure the U.S. continues to lead in the adoption of AI. The United States' decisive and enduring advantages lie in the innovation that's inherent in the commercial sector and the department's ability to incorporate that into critical missions. Defense Innovation Unit Director Doug Beck said in a statement that they will partnership with AI RCC and will allow us to shape critical AI initiatives in a way that incorporates the standards, policies, and requirements from the beginning. It means that they will be able to scale the tech faster and more reliably throughout the department using software development and delivery tempo for the future. Oh my gosh. It says the AI RCC will accelerate and scale generative AI tools across 15 warfighting and enterprise management use cases, ranging from command and control and decision support to software development and cybersecurity. Those areas of focus are based on findings from Task Force Lima. The Frontier AI pilots will tackle 4 of those use cases, 2 focused on warfighting and 2 focused on enterprise management, to demonstrate the impact of generative AI in defense applications. As part of the pilots, CDAO will partner with combatant commands and DoD stakeholders. Didn't we just talk about stakeholders yesterday? To conduct incremental experiments utilizing the capabilities in development. So what you saw last night was a Blackhawk being experimented with that ran into an airplane. I guarantee it. Because they shut my internet down. They shut my entire power to my house, nobody else's, for 2 hours so this information wouldn't go out. Because when I went on live earlier, it started trending really fast. Yeah, I probably will get a flyover. No doubt about it. It says, in addition to the Frontier AI pilots, they will oversee key investments and underlying infrastructure needed to accelerate AI adoption across the department, including the establishment of digital sandboxes to enable AI testing and experimentation on government networks. They will invest in rapid user-centric experimentation using CDO's Global Information Dominance Experiment series to allow warfighters across combatant commands to test frontier AI models and provide real-time feedback to developers. What does that mean? It means they're going to send up these Blackhawks without pilots. They're going to have AI pilots. Artificial intelligence will be flying these airplanes and these helicopters, and they're going to have to do it in the commercial and the real world, and they're going to have to do it in war zones so that they can test it to give information back to their stakeholders. Because they were awarded a $40 million small business innovation research funding for innovative generative AI solutions. So there's 40 million more of your tax dollars under Biden and Harris being awarded to the Department of Defense to put Blackhawks in the sky without pilots. I mean, I'm gonna tag all these links. So I fully pray you guys will get in there and read this information. U.S. Air Force AI just co-piloted its first military flight ever. Skynet likely delighted. That is the title of what I'm reading right now. Well, there goes another job to automation. For the first time ever, an artificial intelligence has taken control of Department of Defense military aircraft. This article, December 16th, 2020. What year are we in? 2025. You guys, You and I are 5 years behind on what the military and our government has been doing with these drones and these helicopters. We don't need pilots anymore. Why spend millions of dollars training a human pilot when you can put a Blackhawk up with nobody in it and fly it from Kentucky to DC, like in the video that I just showed you guys? It says, yesterday, December 15th, 2020, an AI co-piloted a United States Air Force U-2 Dragon Lady spy plane over California, making the first time AA has controlled a U.S. military system. That was in 2020. And somewhere in the machine-made walls of Skynet, Miles Dyson is smiling. When the Connors informed him that his company, Skynet, was responsible for AI taking over the U.S. nuclear arsenal and subsequently the world. It's coming true, you guys. It's coming true. They gave, oh my gosh. Wow. Air Combat Command's U-2 Federal Laboratory created the algorithm which trained the AI to perform in-flight tasks normally executed by an actual human pilot. But don't worry, it completed over 1 million training runs before that. So the odds of a Skynet level incident are relatively low. This time, that was in 2020. I fully believe what we just saw last night was a Skynet incident. It says here, the U-2 took off from Bell Air Force Base in California on a reconnaissance mission, simulating a missile strike. So it had missiles on the plane with no people. Oh my God, what are we doing? You guys, we're going to blow the whole world up. Our government is so out of control. Holy smokes. It said, sharing the plane's radar system, the pilot looked for imminent aircraft threats, while ARTU snuffed out enemy launchers with no pilot override. Let me repeat that. With no pilot override. ARTU made final calls on devoting the radar to missile hunting versus self-protection. Granted, while Terminator has placed a healthy dose of skepticism in many sci-fi fans, Roper believes the advantages of AI-assisted piloting are worth any perceived risk. These people are insane. I told y'all the other day, the mad scientists are going to destroy the world. They are either going to create a virus that mutates us all into the walking zombies they want us to be, and we're going to be eating everybody, or they're going to blow us up with these AI technology nonsense. Again, I will link every article I'm reading from for you guys. Now, what did Trump say about this flight? Let me find it because I do have it. I got to find it. Give me a second. Okay. Donald J. Trump said this about the crash last night. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. So read his words for what they actually say. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line to the airport. So it's not the plane's fault. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is clear. It is a clear night. In other words, no excuses. You can't say it was foggy. You can't say that there was light pollution. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or go down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking it if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good, in all caps. Yes, there was a bad wreck. There was an airplane crash killing 60 plus people over the Potomac last night in DC, for those of you who don't know. A small plane carrying the U.S. ice skating team and a Russian couple with their trainers and families was hit by a Blackhawk helicopter. So I'm going to tell you guys this. Your president knows that this is not okay. He says the airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. So he's telling you guys, there's nobody in that. There was nobody in that black helicopter. That Blackhawk was being driven by AI. It targeted in on that plane. Was it intentional? I don't know. Some people are questioning because there were Russian ice skaters on that plane. So a lot of people are like, 60 dead in tragic air crash between passenger plane and helicopter in DC. The helicopter pilot involved in the plane crash at Reagan Airport confirmed to air traffic control that he could see the plane and would avoid it. This is 100% his fault. Again, I don't believe there was anybody in the helicopter. I believe probably what happened was the Department of Defense was like, yeah, we see it. And then in the backside where you couldn't see them, they're panicking because AI won't change the direction of the copter. The helo was flying dark. Okay, so that means the helicopter was flying dark. That's military for the plane couldn't see it. It wasn't broadcasting on the ADSB. Divers of the wreckage claim there were no viable victims inside. Blackhawks can be remote controlled. Nobody survived. Team USA figure skaters and coaches were among the passengers on the flight from Wichita to Washington, D.C. Something about that plane and helicopter crash feels very odd. I'm reading to you guys off of X, okay? 1, who is in the helicopter? 2, who is on the plane? In DC airspace, which is the most tracked and monitored airspace in the U.S. Why? Because Washington, D.C. is literally right there. Andrews Air Force is literally right there. Data suggests that the helicopter was a VH-60 Blackhawk VIP transport from the CIA HQ, from the headquarters. On the passenger plane were Russian athletes, amongst them the figure skating world champions from 1994. And I am not going to try to say their names. I will not do them justice, folks. Okay, so let me see if I can get this one. This was supposedly the recording being released from the plane and Blackhawk crash.
With command. Throw that roll for you, sir. Copy. EMS branch from Airport Fire Group 378. Go ahead. For our conversation earlier, I just spoke with Command Center out here on the water. They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to DC. That is all they know so far. They'll confirm and get back with you. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Good. Man, meet up with you, please. I want to take one. You can take two, please. Throw that roll for you, sir. Copy. EMS branch from Airport Fire Group 378. Go ahead. For our conversation earlier, I just spoke with Command Center out here on the water. They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to DC. That is all they know so far. They'll confirm and get back with you. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Good. Man, meet up with you, please. I want to take one. You can take two, please.
So I'm not sure what's going on with that. They're saying we can confirm we have one body that was sent to DC. This other guy's like, Jerome, I want to hook up with you, man. I'm going to take one, you take two. That just all sounds so creepy to me. I'm just saying. I don't believe these helicopters had pilots, guys. I believe these were being autonomously flown. They left from the CIA headquarters, is what people are saying. These are usually used for VIP transport. The Blackhawk helicopter was flying dark. The plane never saw them. So I'm telling you guys, then when you start looking into MK Ultra and all of that, and you realize what's going on in our country, well, it is what it is. Now, I want to tell you guys, I want to mention this real quick. Somebody pointed something out to me, and they said, notice, this was Justin X Factor. He commented on something I was talking about with the Native Americans yesterday, and he said, notice and know the difference between a Native American and American Indian. A lot of times people get confused with the two, but notice how Trump says it. Know the difference. And he knows that's the loophole they have been using. And Obama started it when he tried to remove the word Negro from history in 2016. They're trying to mess up our history to invade us more. So what he's saying is, if you say Native American, that's what all these illegal aliens are now claiming, that they were the Native Americans. You've got to say American Indian if you want to talk about our first people, our indigenous people. So just know that, guys. Now, let me show you what I found on Twitter, because it all goes together. Let me get them ready for y'all. All right, let's start with
normal. It was right about to head over land, maybe 120 feet above the water. It looked like a fairly, a small end but normal sized passenger jet, and it looked normal. It was level. So I looked back at the road, and then I looked back again just to see if I could maybe see it land. And this was 3 seconds later. And at that point, it was banked all the way to the right. I would say maybe past the right, past 90 degrees. I could see the underside of it. It was lit up a very bright yellow, and there was a stream of sparks underneath it. It looked like a Roman candle, if you've ever held one of those on the 4th of July, but it was much, much bigger than that. It was high off the ground. I didn't see anything beyond that. I didn't see any helicopter. It's a very, very dark night out tonight, so anything that's not illuminated, you can't really see. So I didn't see the other aircraft, but I saw the plane banking at an angle that a plane shouldn't bank, and I saw sparks flying. Initially, I saw the plane, and it looked
Operating ends about 8 feet deep. There is wind. There is pieces of ice out there. So it's just dangerous and hard to work in. And because there's not a lot of lights, you're out there searching every square inch of space to see if you can find anybody. Divers are doing the same thing in the water. The water is dark. It is murky. And that is a very tough condition for them to dive in.
I did have a conversation with the Situation Room where the president was located, as well as with Secretary Hegseth. We're exchanging information. I know the president is incredibly concerned about what's happened here today. I'm sure we'll continue to hear more from him, and I'll continue to consult with him and Secretary Hegseth.
I want the folks to back home to just know that we care, that we love them, and that this is a time when we'll have to join arms together and help each other out. We've been through things like this before, through tornadoes and floods and things, but it's really hard when you lose, probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously. And I don't want to forget the pilots and the flight attendants, are doing, do their job, and the military personnel.
Operating ends about 8 feet deep.
Now, I want you guys to understand this. My sons are in the military. My family has been in the military. Every generation of my family that I can trace back, my mom is traced back to the early 1800s. We've had people in the military. The average military grunt has no idea of the illegal operations that the military is doing on Americans. When Navy ships and Operation Sea Spray are spraying bacteria all over San Diego, the grunts working that ship have no clue what the brass is doing. So for each and every one of you that watch me that have served your country, God bless you. Thank you for your service. When I bring out what's happening in the military, it is the high up. It is the stakeholders. It is the money bag. It's the globalists doing it. It is not the men and women who work their entire careers to keep you and I safe. And I want you to know that I don't hold our military responsible, because my sons would never intentionally hurt an American citizen. But if they're ordered to do something and they're told it's one thing and we find out 20 years later that it's something else, it's not their fault. All right, so I want to show you something.
One day, it started raining, and it didn't quit for 4 months. We've been through every kind of rain there is. A little bit of stinging rain, and big old fat rain. Rain that flew in sideways, and sometimes rain even seemed to come straight up from underneath.
So remember, the people who are in the military caught up in the nonsense happening, they're not causing it. Your average military grunt did not create weather modification. So speaking of what's going on, we all know what they're doing, folks. Like this is horrific, but it's a much deeper thing, you guys. And right now, Louisiana is fixing to have another horrific storm headed straight for us, as well as Texas. Now listen to this guy. Even the left, even the liberals are starting to figure out weather modification is a real thing.
With a severe freeze, and they're going to cut the power. For entertainment purposes only, TikTok. I hope I'm wrong about this, but my mom just sent me this on Facebook today. I have been told if you don't have your shit in order and you're not prepared to be warm and to be able to cook, filter water, all those things to get your shit in order. If you can afford a generator, that's great. Just get ready, Texans, because Texas is being punished because we are defying the federal government with the border shit, and they have the ability to manipulate weather, and that's exactly what they're doing. If we do get in the negatives in Texas and have our power cut, there would be people that would not survive because we are not prepared for that kind of cold. Our homes are not built to withstand that kind of freezing temperatures. If you're like me and you don't own a home and you rent and you don't have a fireplace, buy a tent. You can put your mattress inside of a tent and sleep a lot warmer in that. Buy gloves if you don't own gloves. Get lots of candles. You can light a candle and put it underneath a cast iron skillet or like a clay pot or some kind of stone, and that stone or that cast iron will heat the room. I did that in 2021 when we had that awful freeze. If this doesn't happen, at least you're prepared for when it does, because that freeze of 2021 or whatever was traumatizing. Get hit with a
Do you guys remember when Hurricane Milton happened and we were all like, oh my gosh, Biden and Harris are literally punishing. They want to destroy Republican strongholds before the election. And what did all the people on the left do? They laughed at us. Y'all are so crazy. Weather modification doesn't happen. Y'all just making crap up. Now you hear somebody from the left going, maybe this storm coming is punishment because we aren't bowing down to, closing the border and stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying, looks like America's starting to wake up. And if it's good for the gander, or it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, it's good for the gander, it's good. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know. I don't got to tell you.
Later it is.
If you had a bunch of chemicals and you built a tower, could you make it rain? That's the subject of tonight's weird weather.
In the early 1900s, there was a gentleman who said he could make it rain. Charles M. Hatfield. Well, he said for $50, he could deliver. Well, Los Angeles farmers said, we need rain. Will you make it rain? He did. And they were so happy, they paid him $100. Well, there was a lake in the area, Lake Hemet. He said for $4,000, he could deliver 4 inches of rain. So he made this tower and he mixed up some chemicals. Guess what? 11 inches of rain fell and it rose 22 feet. Operators say it was the best bargain they'd ever had. There was another area that needed it. San Diego City contracted him to fill Lake Marina in 1 year. If he did it, $10,000. If not, he didn't get a penny. January 1st, he put his towers up and started sending his chemicals away. January 5th, it began to rain. January 10th, heavy rain kept going. And by January 15th, it had been a downpour for nearly 5 days.
Okay, so the rain did come, and apparently it was Hatfield that was doing it. But look what happened after that. On the 19th, Marina Reservoir filled. The 26th, record-breaking rains were still falling. And the next day, dams were rupturing.
Sound familiar?
Huge amounts of water pouring out of the mountains, heading into San Diego. 20 people lost their lives. 35 inches of rain fell that month. Well, you can imagine there were lawsuits in the millions. The city council says, nope, we're not going to pay. Hatfield said, I'll settle for $4,000. Council said no. It went to the California Supreme Court. They ruled that was an act of God. Well, if that's the case, neither Hatfield nor the city was liable for the damages. Also, if it was an act of God, then that means Hatfield didn't do it. City council? Nope. They say they're not going to pay. Well, Charles Hatfield was known by many names. He was a cloud coaxer, a water magician, a moisture accelerator, the wizard of hope, a pluviculturalist, the great precipitator, but most of the time he was just known as Hatfield the Rainmaker.
So any of you that like to do research and people want to argue with you that geoengineering is not a real thing, well, now you have information. You can go look up at the California Supreme Court. There should be documentation about this lawsuit because it went all the way to the Supreme Court. That information is available to all citizens of the United States. Please make sure, guys, that you hit the like button. And if you've not joined our channel yet as a member, you can follow the link that's in description and join us as a member. It only costs, it starts at like $2.99 a month. But you also get newsletters and you get lives. And in February, we're going to be starting, anybody that's a member, a paid member of the channel, we're going to be starting our Zooms in February to get you guys grouped up. Now, let's keep going because it gets a little bit more interesting.
Change the direction it flows in. You know how there's high pressure zones and low pressure zones. Well, high is hot and low is cold. And the hot flows into the cold. Vice versa, when there's more of the cold. So they can heat up an area and cause it to flow into a next door area. In other words, these people are capable of creating the cyclone that hit Myanmar, the tsunami that hit Indonesia, and the earthquake that hit China. Now, after the earthquakes hit Niigata, a member of the Inagawa crime family, which is based around the U.S. Yokosuka Air Base, and members of the Inagawa family have told me that their big boss is George Bush Sr. In other words, they work for Skull and Bones. And they invited me to a so-called UFO gathering where they showed me the video of this blog. They told me it was a UFO, but it was obviously, to me anyway, a plasma weapon or a ball of heat created by something like a billion-watt microwave. And I predicted in my blog that there would be videos of lights found above China before the earthquake. And those videos then appeared on the internet after I predicted they would. And furthermore, it changed the direction.
So, as like I told you guys the other day, I was going to show you guys that this stuff is absolutely 100% real.
This was over Florida last night. This was the most intense light show in the sky I've ever seen. This was totally silent, no thunder. It was constant, and it lasted for over 3 hours in the exact same location. And this came as we've already been talking about super strange, suspicious, and rare weather and strong, severe weather patterns repeatedly forming in the same places and taking the same paths. See more of this and more of the strange weather we're talking about, the suspicious weather that we're talking about on my YouTube channel, Twisted Look Truth. But lots of people are noticing the rare and suspicious weather, strange patterns. I've myself, for the past 2 weeks in Florida, seen abnormal things every single day. We're seeing sudden storms with tropical storm force winds, tornadic winds. Even the mainstream media is calling all this weird weather rare. They also used a word that myself I've never heard before, derecho, but they didn't elaborate, so I looked it up. I go into that more also in a full video.
Yes, I am on Facebook. If you have information, feel free to send it to me there. All right, one more, guys.
I hope I will have the pleasure still to be invited for the meeting when we meet for the 20th Governance Summit. You will use the app like Uber. But not anymore to call some driver.
The driver.
But automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport.
A self-driving car?
Is one of the
Los Angeles.
Heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030 Los Angeles will be private car driven free. And this will allow to transform highways into parks and other public spheres.
Spheres. You will have parks and public spheres. Because Los Angeles will no longer be private car driven by 2030. That was made, I think he did that clip was like 4 months old. And the fires just happened. And where did it burn? Los Angeles. Huh. Oh my God. It's almost like they planned it. With self-driving cars. So don't tell me there are not self-driving Blackhawks. I'm just saying, you guys, you just got to open your eyes. Thank you, Miss Carolyn. You just got to open your eyes. The information's out there. And once you start to educate yourself on what's going on, like weather warfare to take out whole cities so they can revamp it to have self-driving cars so they can make the parks for the people, but not you and me, for the illegal migrants that were sent here from Klaus Schwab to replace you and me. So you're either going to fight for your country or you're literally going to let them take it. And as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So let's say a prayer over our country. And then I got some things I got to go take care of. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just pray over our country right now. We bind and rebuke the satanic forces that are coming against people. We bind and rebuke the fallen angel technology, Lord, that is being used against your children. We know that this world is a fallen world, but that through your blood on the cross, everybody can find freedom, Lord, and they can find peace. So I pray today that anybody that has never accepted you as their Lord and their master, people that will not bend the knee and admit that they too have sinned, that they will ask you into their heart and ask you to forgive them for their sins, so that no one is left behind. In Jesus' name, amen. I love you guys so much. Be blessed, be safe, be aware, because they got them Blackhawks out there with no pilots. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Love you.